Hello, you are listening to Disney Travel Tales, episode number 57. This is a space where you can escape the real world and immerse yourself in someone's recent Disney trip. I'm Jenny, and today is part 2 of Lisa and Rory's amazing American Disney adventure. This episode is all about their first time visiting Walt Disney World in Florida and staying at the Polynesian Resort. Head over to Instagram and find me at Disney Travel Tales to see pictures from Lisa's trip. Also, today, November 12th, is the last day to enter a giveaway I have over there for a chance to win a $100 gift card. If you're enjoying the podcast, I would love for you to subscribe on your favorite podcast listening app and leave a positive review. This is the easiest and best way to support the show. Finally, I'm starting a new monthly newsletter that I would love to send to you. It will include a calendar of upcoming shows, some behind-the-scenes pictures and videos, tips for traveling to Disney and Universal, and then any promotions they are running at that time. See the show notes for a link to sign up. Okay, so let's get going. Imagine yourself walking into your favorite Walt Disney World resort. Mine is the Beach Club, and let's go. Well, I am so excited to hear about your Walt Disney World trip now. So.
Oh, I am so excited. I am a Walt Disney World fan. I will say, though, that in my humble opinion, Magic Kingdom is better in Disneyland than it is in Disney World. Rory and I have had arguments about this for the last month. He completely disagrees. But for me, the real Magic Kingdom magic is in Disneyland.
This is a huge debate among Disney fans, which one is better. So yeah, everyone has their own opinion.
What do you think?
I don't know. So I lean a little bit. So I go to Florida more. But I lean a little bit more towards Disneyland just because Walt was there, and I think that makes it more magical. It's like you can feel his presence.
It's the original.
Original.
The castle isn't as big, and Main Street isn't as big, but it's, I don't know. When you're a Disney history buff and you understand the context behind all the parks, there's just something really spectacular about Disneyland.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, if you're just going and you don't really know, of course, Florida is going to look better because it's bigger and it's more grand. But when you know the history, it's just like tugs at your heartstrings.
That's it. Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about Disney World. Yay. So you said it was a 5-hour flight. Did y'all do anything on the day y'all flew there, or was that just like a travel day?
So we had flown from Santa Ana Airport. Excuse me, I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Californians would say Santa Ana, but I say Santa Ana as an Australian. So we flew into Orlando. We had issues getting from California to Orlando. Our flight hit weight limits, so we got bumped onto a different flight. It's crazy because it's not a long flight, but the time difference is really what stuffs you around. You don't realise that it's going to take such a long time to get there.
Yeah.
With the flight delays, some of the issues we had, we didn't get to the MCO airport. I think it was late. We didn't check into Port Orleans French Quarter until 1:45 in the morning.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. It was late. It was really late. So we loved Port Orleans French Quarter. I think it's, for a moderate resort, I think it really hits all of the, it ticks all the boxes. It's super manicured. It's very clean. The pool's really cute. The theming's really nice. But we really weren't there for long. The reason we stayed at Port Orleans French Quarter was because we wanted to have beignets for breakfast. That was the exclusive reason why we stayed there. So we were there for not very long. We were in the parks that next morning at 9:30, and we got to Port Orleans, as I said, at 12:45. So when you do the maths, we were in that resort for not very long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those beignets are delicious. I totally get what the fuss is about. I love them.
You know, Port Orleans French Quarter is my favorite moderate resort. I recommend it to everyone because it's small, it's beautiful, and I just love it.
Absolutely agreed. That's why we booked it. Was one for the beignets and for two how small it was. We've watched, as I've said so many times now, we've watched so much content, and you really don't appreciate or realize how big some of those resorts are. And it is a mission to get from one end to the next.
Very much so.
Which wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been a big deal for us because we were only there for literally 8 hours by the time you do the maths. But for people that are staying there for an extended period of time, I think those really large resorts like Caribbean Beach and even the other Port Orleans one, Port Orleans Riverside, they're quite big.
It's humongous because we stayed there, but we stayed in a room close to everything, so we never had to walk far out, but it's so big.
So big. It's just crazy. So after we went to Scat Cat's Lounge, we had the plain beignet and the strawberry ones. They were delicious.
Very good.
We hopped on the monorail for the first time.
Yay!
So how I felt about walking under the bridge at Disneyland is kind of how we felt about getting on the monorail. Yeah, you get it.
I get it.
You get it. People get it. When you've been, you get it.
Yep.
And because I hadn't been to Walt Disney World before, Rory and I were experiencing all of this for the first time together. So to say that we were two excited school children was a complete an understatement. We spent the whole time like tapping each other on the arms, being like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. We actually looked pathetic. Like if I saw me from a distance, I would have thought that something was wrong. Like we were that emotional. But seeing Spaceship Earth for the first time, you don't appreciate the sheer scale of how big that is until you see it face to face. We just thought it was the best. Seeing Epcot for the first time really had me in a big ball of emotion. Yeah. All those Disney planners out there that are planning like their, once in a lifetime trip, they'll understand that. When you've built up so much energy and time and money into something and you see it for the first time, it blows your mind.
That's great.
Yeah, just loved it. But what was amazing is that Goofy is my fiance's favourite character. And it just felt like serendipity almost that Goofy was the character out front. It was those little moments that are like, yeah, this is why people come to Disney. It's those little things.
That's so cool.
So we did our first meet and greet with Goofy, and the photos are very funny. Aww. He is so cute. So cute. So we spent some time just walking around Epcot. Like, we just couldn't believe it. What's funny, and I'm not sure if other people feel this way about Epcot, but when we were planning our trip and thinking about where we were going, Epcot was one of those places I was like, take it or leave it. Didn't really understand it. But now I'm going out and saying it is my favourite. Yeah. There's that T-shirt at the parks that says, there's two types of people. You probably know the T-shirt I'm talking about. The left side is Magic Kingdom and the right side is Epcot. And I am an Epcot gal through and through.
Yeah, Epcot is amazing.
It's just, I just loved it. We just loved it. We saw the Novacorp Star Blaster out the front of the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and I swear Rory had a tear come down his face. Just loved it. We just loved it.
Yeah.
But where our minds were truly blown, though, was walking through that World Showcase. I've watched almost every Mammoth Club video. I'm going to shout out to Molly Allen and Max from Mammoth Club again. And Disney Food Blog, all ears. And, like, you can't really appreciate the sheer scale of it all until you're in it. I just adored it. We adored it. I just loved it. I might even cry talking about it. Excuse me.
Yeah, it is beautiful, and it's like every country you walk through, you feel like you're in that country.
It's just amazing. Like we started off in Mexico. We were very unsure what side to start off with. We know that this is a contentious debate on what side of the park you start with, but we started with Mexico, and we then went to Japan. We were really excited by the Food and Wine Festival. Where we're from in Australia, we're from a city called Melbourne, and we take our food very seriously. We are known as the food kind of capital of Australia, and we're quite a big cultural melting pot. There's a lot of different cultures and all kinds of people that live in our city. So we are very fortunate to have access to lots of really, really good food.
That's awesome.
So that's why Epcot for us was a big deal, because we were like, yes, we're going to eat all the good food. Very excited. So we started off with the India booth. Have you been to the Food and Wine Festival?
Yeah, I was there in September.
Yeah, that's right. You were too. Did you go to the India booth by any chance?
Yes, I did.
Did you get the cheese?
Yes,
the
it was
cheese?
amazing.
How good was it?
It was amazing. And I was so surprised how good the ketchup was. The curry ketchup.
Same.
Yeah.
I thought it could have been a little bit spicier.
Yeah,
but again,
it wasn't spicy
it's theme
at all.
park food. You've got to cater to the masses. But, yeah, the piña was super, super good.
It was really good, yeah.
Yeah, we loved it. So from there we walked back and we got in Guardians of the Galaxy. So this was the ride that we purchased, as everyone does.
Yeah.
Before I talk about it, have you been on it?
I have.
What did you think about it?
So I loved it. It's probably my favorite ride.
I actually can't believe it.
Yeah.
How good it is.
No, I felt the same way. I was really surprised how good it was. I was like, oh, it'll be fun. But I got to ride it twice, and I loved it.
Loved it. What songs did you get?
Okay, I got the Gloria Estefan song, which is the Spanish song. I can't think of it. The Mamba. Is it Mamba? Come on, baby.
Yeah, I know the song you mean. Yep.
And then the other one was the Pat Benatar song, but I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, no. Look what happens when you're under pressure. As soon as you get off the call, you'll remember.
100%. What song did y'all get?
We had Disco Inferno.
Oh, fun.
By the Tramps. I was never a huge fan of that song, but now whenever I hear it, it actually kind of gets me emotional.
Yeah.
And we even put it on the playlist for our wedding. So when people were eating their entrees and all their food, it was one of the songs that played in the background. We love that song. Only because of that ride. But yeah, what a trip that ride is.
It's amazing.
I couldn't believe it. I was actually a little bit scared at some parts. I do believe that they've turned the lights up in that ride a little bit since they've opened it because of the serious levels of motion sickness that people get. I got a little bit motion sick.
Yeah, I kind of felt a little,
Yeah, but I was so happy and overwhelmed that I didn't really notice it, but then I got off the ride vehicle and was a little bit, whew,
yeah,
that was a trip.
Because it's a lot of spinning, and then there's screens, and it's, yeah.
And the reverse launch was awesome. Yeah. It was cool.
So fun, I know.
It was really cool. We would have done it again on our second Epcot day, but we figure, we've already paid for it once. We've missed the virtual queue. Like, some things are good if you just do them once and appreciate it. So we only did it the once. But, yeah, we loved it.
It's amazing.
After that, we went back to World Showcase and kicked off our eating and drinking around the world.
Fun. That's the best part.
Oh, just loved it. We started at the Hawaii booth. We got the pork slider, the Kona Brewing Co. beer, and the Ulani Sunrise.
Nice.
All of them were delicious. I did think the pork slider was a bit sweet, but then Rory did remind me that it's full of pineapple, so that does explain why it was quite sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But that Ulani Sunrise cocktail was really nice. And I said to Rory, I think we should go to the Ulani Resort in Hawaii, and I know that you've been there.
Yes.
And he said, we're already on a Disney vacation. Please stop planning our next one.
That's so funny.
So funny. We then kept walking through. We made our way through Canada and the English pavilions. Our minds were truly blown, though, at the France pavilion. Hands up to all those people who cried at the France pavilion. I am part of that team. That street with the entrance to Remy's Ratatouille, I cried. A full-grown adult woman crying in the France pavilion. Like, really?
It's so pretty, though.
It's so pretty. And when you turn around and you see the skyliner in the sky and the beautiful trees, it was a lot. I had a moment. It was just beautiful. It's just mind-blowingly gorgeous. I just loved it. We then did the Beauty and the Beast sing-along. Beauty and the Beast, my favourite film. Very cute. Mm-hmm. Really, really cute.
It is cute.
From there, we did the individual lightning lane for Remy's. Have you been on that ride?
Yes.
Did you like it?
I love it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Rory and I gave that ride a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Hey, parents, do your kids listen to podcasts? Do they like solving mysteries and flexing their imaginations? Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is a new children's mystery podcast. Your kid can join Billy Bonanza and Susie Sockington on exciting and wacky adventures as they attempt to solve mysteries around their school. Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is available now on all podcast platforms.
So the first time I rode that ride, I got really motion sick, and I don't even know why. But the second time I rode it, I didn't. So I don't know if it was like the smells and just maybe it was really hot outside. It was just kind of a combination because the second time I rode it, it wasn't hot, and I was already kind of knowing what to expect. But it's so cute. I love that ride.
Isn't it just so sweet? It's not thrilly. Oh, there's some parts of it that are a little bit but it's like it's nothing like Guardians or Star Wars or anything like that. But it is so well done. And what I love about that is that all of the animation sequences in that ride took longer than the movie did to make.
That's insane. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I just love that. I love that Disney go to that much effort and detail to make their rides that immersive. And that's just what I was thinking about throughout this. Like, look at this attention to detail. Like, it's just ridiculous.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Rory and I have agreed that rat will always have a place in our heart. We love that little rat. It's so cute.
I know. I love that movie. I love that ride. It's so fun.
So fun. We then continued eating and drinking, as everyone else does. We had the cheese bread from the Morocco Pavilion with the different dips. That was delicious. It was so hot at this point and 95% humidity. So, again, watching all this content, everyone always talks about getting in the AC and how hot it is. And we have quite hot summers in Australia, very, very hot. But that humidity, if you are not used to it, it is hard. It is really, really hard. We were so hot that we were like feeling a bit sick. It's probably because we hadn't drunk enough water. So there's another top tip from Lisa. Drink as much water as humanly possible.
So does Australia have more of like a dry heat?
It depends because we're such a big continent. It depends on where you are in Australia. We're right at the bottom, so it's definitely not as humid for us as it is in Florida. It is more of a dry heat where I am, but I think it's you're outside. There's not a huge amount of like sun protection or anything out there. Like you really are in the elements in the theme park. I bought one of those neck fans from Amazon, the ones that stick around, and Rory, my partner's like, that's ridiculous. You were going to look silly. And I was like, no, I won't. I only used it for about half a day, to be fair. But when I did use it, it was really helpful. But a lot of people had like the neck towels that you put water in, and that would have been really good. So I do recommend if you're traveling in the hotter months to make sure you're prepared for that humidity because it is hard.
It is really hard. I'm in Texas, and we have where I'm at in Texas is more of a dry heat, and it's just like. So when I went to Disney World in September, it was still hot here. It was probably still like 98. But it felt hotter in Florida with that humidity. Like I could not wait to get back to my dry heat.
Yeah, the dry heat's so much easier to get around.
It's just easier. I mean, it's still hot, but gosh, that humid Florida weather, it's tough.
It is really, really tough. So if you're a first-time traveler to Florida, please don't underestimate the humidity.
Yes.
And that's my best advice.
I agree.
So we were struggling by this point, and sometimes it's hard to eat really heavy food in humidity because you just don't really have an appetite. So we just have to keep pushing through. But we ended up going to the Germany and Italian pavilions, and there was an ice cream shop in the Italy pavilion, and it was awesome. I think I got like a Coca-Cola float, so it's Coke with some vanilla ice cream in it, and my partner had like a lemon gelato, and it was really, really nice.
That sounds
really
yummy.
good. Where did we go from there? We then had an early dinner at San Angelo Inn, so the restaurant inside the Mexico Pavilion. We didn't really have high expectations for this restaurant. We just both love Mexican food, and I really like tequila, so I figure let's go there for dinner.
Yep.
But it was amazing. The cast member there, she was incredible. She shouted us some glasses of champagne because she found out we were on our honeymoon. The cocktails are really good, and the appetizers were really nice as well.
That sounds good.
They put us on a table. If anyone's been to that restaurant, they put us on a table right against the black picket fence, so right next to the water inside, and it was just really sweet. It was really, really
fun.
nice. So from here, we finally got an alert that our room at the Polynesian Village was ready. Rory and I had been we were counting down the days until we could check into the Poly. We decided about a year prior that the Poly was the resort that we were going to stay in. And we were just completely besotted with it. We were just so excited. It's just those, and I think I'm speaking on a lot of people's behalf, but those who've stayed in the Poly, they get it. It's like being on holiday while you're on holiday.
That sounds awesome. I've never had the chance to stay there. It is on my list. Yes.
You got to do it.
I know.
You've got to.
It's on my list. It's always booked.
Always.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe it. We booked it, I think it was about 9 or 10 months in advance. And even availability then was pretty hard to come by.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so, so good. I won't spoil it too much for you, but when you get off the monorail and there's like a lush kind of tropical garden, it is so beautiful.
Aww.
It is so, so beautiful.
That sounds so nice.
We stayed in the Rarotonga Longhouse, which is right next to the Great Ceremonial House, which is like the main part of the resort, which is really nice being that close. So we really liked our room there. So after we both cried at the Polynesian from sheer happiness, we ended up going back to Epcot. We very nearly didn't. We were so content staying at the Poly that we're like, no, we're done for Epcot. for the day, but going back at night time, 11 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
11, even better than during the day. It's also really nice to enjoy it without that heat, as we were just talking about. So enjoying it when the sun's gone down just makes it that little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw Harmonious, and I adored it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, Harmonious is a beautiful show. I don't know why they're taking it away.
I don't know why either. I cried hysterically. You probably picked that up about me already, that I tend to cry a lot. But there was something truly spectacular about that. I think the songs being sung in the native language is truly spectacular. It's yeah, I'm kind of lost for words with that show. I highly recommend getting a chance to see it while it's still in its current version. Got to go in with open eyes. I think some people are a little bit upset that the whole thing isn't spoken in English, but I think we've got to remember that the whole point of Epcot, Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, it is literally about different communities.
Yes.
And there are other countries in the world that don't speak English.
Yes, and they visit.
That's right. That's exactly it. People come from all over the world to go to these parks, and I think it's really nice to shine a light on different cultures and different languages.
Yeah, just make them feel welcome.
That's exactly right. And it's also a good learning opportunity for people that do speak English to hear how these movies and these songs that we've been listening to for our whole lives, how they sound to other people.
Yep.
So just loved it. Loved it. Wrap up, make me stop talking about it, otherwise I'll talk about it for the next 2 hours. Anyway, while we watched Harmonious, we went to Swanky Saucy Swine. Delicious. That's just a fun thing to say, isn't it? Swanky Saucy Swine.
I like that.
We had the crispy barbecued pork rinds and the grilled pork shoulder lettuce wrap. Rory and I both agree that the grilled pork shoulder lettuce wrap was best of the fest for us.
Nice.
Loved it.
Very good.
Really good balance of flavour. It's nice to have like a crunchy, healthy element, like a little bit of lettuce with some really nice pork. And yeah, I highly recommend it. So everyone get around that. That was really good. Because we had extended evening hours, as soon as Harmonious left, the park was pretty much empty, so we got to run around and do all of those things. We rode Soarin', so this was the third time that we've now ridden Soarin', twice in Disneyland, third time in Disney World. When we sat down and the ride started, Rory said to me, "This is going to be exactly the same as the other one, isn't it?" I was like, "Yep, exactly the same. I just want to do it while I'm here." But then the ending is different, and I didn't even think about that, how it's like Soarin' over Epcot. And I had like an emotional reaction to it. I said to Rory, I said, "Look how beautiful it is." And he's just looking at me, rolling his eyes like, "Are you kidding me?" Like,
I love that part when they do the fireworks and it makes the Mickey. It's perfect.
It's just perfect. It's just, I just loved it.
Yes.
So that was very cool that we got to do that for the third time. We also did Frozen Ever After. That was a walk-on. What a miracle. Frozen Ever After for a walk-on, right?
That's
that
insane.
never happens.
Never.
So that was really cute. Loved that. And then we did Test Track. Test Track goes faster than you expect it to.
It's the fastest ride out of all the Disney parks.
Well, there you go. You learn something new every day. I didn't realise that it was that fast. We got into it and then we got out of it. We're like, whoa, that was faster than we expected to be. I actually really liked it. It's a little bit kitschy and it's a little bit old, but I don't know. I liked it more than Utopia. Not that that's hard, but
right.
I did really like that. We wrapped up that day on 29,000 steps. 29,000 very happy steps, may I add. My favourite park and my favourite day in all of the Walt Disney World.
Aw, that's so cool.
My favourite.
I love it.
Yeah. Loved
Yeah,
it.
Epcot's so fun. It's very underrated. People are like, oh, I have kids. I'm not going to go to Epcot. Oh, I'll just pass it. I don't think anyone should ever pass it.
Don't pass it. Don't ever pass it. I
Mhm.
think there's some really good lessons to be learnt in Epcot. And then when we realised we didn't do like living with the land and all those things, but like we still had such an amazing day.
Mhm.
I highly recommend it.
Yep, it's a great park.
So good. All right, do we want to roll into day 2?
Let's move on.
Woohoo! All right, Hollywood Studios. So our Hollywood Studios experience is probably a bit different than most others. Because we were fortunate to spend 2 days in Disneyland, a lot of the rides and attractions that are in Hollywood Studios we'd already done them in Disneyland. So
Mhm.
I know a lot of people get really stressed about getting the most out of their Hollywood Studios day, but for us we had an entirely different approach because we were very fortunate to have done a lot of the stuff already. So we kicked off that morning with breakfast from Captain Cook's at the Poly. I had the long-awaited Tonga toast. Have you had the Tonga toast?
Yes,
Did you love it?
I did.
It's delicious.
It's so
You
good.
can't. It's a pretty big portion.
Yes, I was
really
surprised.
struggled to finish it. Yeah, it's a lot, and I feel like it's not necessarily a one and done thing, but I had it once, and I'm not sure if I would get it again, but I did really, really like it. It's just
Mhm.
very sweet and heavy for breakfast.
It was very
Um,
sweet.
Yeah, I'd recommend sharing that. If you've got someone with you who wants to try it as well, I definitely recommend sharing that. And Rory had the breakfast pizza. So from there, we kicked off and we got to Hollywood Studios at 9:20. The first thing was Starbucks, as it always should be for your days in Disneyland. And our first attraction was Muppet Vision 3D. I know that probably seems like an odd choice to people, but my partner is obsessed with the Muppets. He was wearing a Pizza Rizzo t-shirt.
Nice.
That's how much he loves the Muppets. So we kicked off with Muppet Vision 3D. Loved it. It's cute.
It's fun. I love it.
Yeah, it's just got that real innocent vibe to it, which I think is really sweet.
Yes.
Really cute. We then did our lightning lane for Slinky Dog. To say that I was excited for this ride was an understatement. I loved it. Rory loved it. It is theming to a whole new level, isn't it?
Like, it's insane.
It's crazy,
Mhm.
especially when you're in the line waiting to get into the ride vehicle, and I put my head up in the air and I looked at the sheer attention to detail, like all of the different board games and how everything's all stacked together. Like, it really is amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. When we went, we had to stand in kind of a long line because it was before Genie Plus. But my oldest, I think he was 15 at the time, he just
Yep.
was like, I was fine standing in that line because I just looked at everything.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's just the way they do it, it's amazing.
Yeah, it really, really is. And we, in the lead up to this holiday, we had a Disney watch list that was like 50 movies. So we would spend our weekends watching all the movies in prep for this holiday. This holiday was a long time coming for us. So we were
Yeah.
very, very excited. And watching those Toy Story films in such close proximity to going to Toy Story Land, you really appreciate the level of consideration and thought that goes into that area. I think
Yes.
it's spectacular.
It is. It's amazing.
That ride is super fun as well.
Yes, it is.
That section where it's all of the bumps and it's like just
Yeah.
cute.
It's cute.
Yeah, it is really cute. So we did that. We then walked around Star Wars Land for a little bit. We didn't spend much time there because we'd already spent 2 days in Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
We then went to the Frozen Ever After musical. My expectations were pretty low for this, but it was so cute.
Yeah, it's fun.
You've been there?
Uh-huh.
You've seen it? What I think's really cute is the narrators, is that what they're called?
Mhm.
The 2 adults that are, like, they're making quite funny jokes that really appeal to adults as well.
Yes.
It's good for lots of audiences.
Yeah, it's fun for all ages.
Yeah. But what really got me was when Anna cast the spell for the snow and the snow falls from the roof. I had this little, this young girl next to me. She would have been maybe 6 or 7, and she burst into tears, and I felt my heart just shatter.
Oh my gosh.
It's just so sweet. And I've said this so many times in this interview, and I'm sorry for repeating myself, but that's just what makes it so beautiful. It's those little moments that make people feel like they've transported directly into another universe. It is like escapism at its absolute best.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
So sweet. So it was just so sweet seeing the kids so happy. And then Rory took photos of me, and I look just as happy as some of these young kids. So bit embarrassing, but that's okay. We then went and watched Mickey and Minnie in the Vacation Fun movie. Again, needed some air conditioning, but it's still really cute. Really, really cute. We went to Baseline Tap House for a drink after that. We actually were really fortunate to meet this lovely couple who were over there celebrating their life of their daughter, who is unfortunately no longer with us. But it was really sweet. These two people had 2 empty seats next to them. We couldn't find anywhere to sit, and we ended up sitting talking to these people for, it would have been maybe an hour and a half.
That's awesome.
We had all these things booked in, and we just let them go. We were like, we'll just rebook it. These are the kind of things that makes a holiday a holiday. Mm-hmm. And we sat down with these 2 lovely people, and they were so kind, and they told us all about their daughter, and, you know, Disney World was her favourite place on earth, and they come to Disneyland to celebrate their daughter, and, you know, they saw Rory and I, who are around the same age as what their daughter was, and said that looking at us reminded them of their daughter. Mm-hmm. And it was just a really sweet moment. So we all had a beer in her honour, all talked about our favourite rides, talked about the difference between Australia and the US, and it was just really sweet. It was just really, really sweet. But what was the most funny about it is that this man also had a Pizza Rizzo t-shirt on. So the 2 people in the whole of Hollywood Studios who, 1, like Pizza Rizzo, and 2, have it on as a t-shirt, just so happened to be sitting next to each other at a bar.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. And that's why we had all these lightning lanes and stuff booked, and we just let them go, because it's like, this is what was meant to happen to us today.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that's
great.
It
was so funny. We then had our lightning lane selection for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That ride is cute. It is so cute. I haven't been on Great Movie Ride, or whatever. I think that's what it used to be called.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are quite contentious about that ride is no longer there, but I loved Runaway Railway. I thought it was really cute.
Yeah, it's so cute. And the whole pre-show, how it takes you straight into the ride, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I really, really liked it.
Yep.
But yeah, Rory and I are fans of the mouse, so that was a must-do ride for us.
Yep.
We couldn't go all the way to Hollywood Studios and my fiance buy a Pizza Rizzo t-shirt for us not to have lunch at Pizza Rizzo. I don't think I need to put any detail into it. It was okay. Mm-hmm. Didn't love it, but Rory just wanted to have lunch there. And the pizza was what you'd expect. But I had the meatball sub. It was okay. Wasn't my first choice, but you got to do things for the memories sometimes.
There you go. At least you can say he got to eat there wearing his shirt.
There's a photo of him out the front in his Pizza Rizzo t-shirt in front of the Pizza Rizzo sign. And
that's awesome.
His favourite photo from the whole trip. So there you go.
That's great.
From there we went to Beauty and the Beast live on stage. I preferred the live on stage version to the sing-along version at Epcot, but I guess they are very, very different. Mm-hmm. I thought the live on stage was really sweet. Controversially, we left the park at 5 o'clock So we were there at 10 and left at 5. I know most people's Hollywood Studios stays are probably a lot longer than that, but the heat was really getting to us at this point. We were really ready to get out, and we were no longer enjoying it. So we figured if we're not enjoying it, get out.
Yep, that's a good plan.
Yep, so we went back to the Poly and remembered that we have Pineapple and I, that we had a Dole Whip restaurant. So we figure, why not do that? So we went and had some Dole Whip back at the resort, and then we had a 6 o'clock reservation for Trader Sam's Grog Grotto. That was super fun, super, super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'd highly recommend getting in line early. It is a really popular spot. Our turnaround time was pretty good. I think we were in the line at 5 and we were in the restaurant at 6.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
But I've been talking to some other people and they've put their names down and then they don't get called back for 3-4 hours.
Yes.
Because you just don't know how long people are going to be in the restaurant for.
Right.
But it's super cool. There's definitely some cool cocktails to get. I'm not going to say which ones because I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't been. But what I would suggest is if you're going with a couple of different people or, you know, yourself or your partner or something, get different drinks so you can see what happens when you order different drinks.
That's some good advice.
Yep. It's very cool. I loved it. We then decided to walk over to the beach at the Poly and watch the fireworks. That is what really got me. Being at the beach at Poly and watching the fireworks over at Magic Kingdom, it's one of those moments where you're like, yeah, I would spend every dollar I had to do this experience again.
Mm-hmm.
It's so magical. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And they pipe in the music, so you have the music.
Oh, and just all these families with their young kids. There was a family there. I think they were having a family reunion and, you know, grandparents and parents and grandkids having, like, the best time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really, really, really sweet.
That's
so
cool.
I'd highly recommend doing that. The only thing that we did, which I would not do, is we watched the fireworks from the Poly before we watched it in the theme park.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not recommend doing that. I would recommend making sure you see it for the first time in the park and then watching it again from somewhere else.
That's some good advice too.
Yeah, yeah. At the time, we were like, oh, the fireworks are amazing. And then we're like, oh, now we've already seen them. We've ruined it for ourselves. For all those who've stayed at the Poly, you'll know the feeling of swimming at the pool at night time. It's one of the happiest nights of my life. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but swimming in the pool at night time, seeing all of like there's a parade that goes across the lake at night time, being in the pool for that, it is truly spectacular. If you are considering staying at the Poly, the pool is worth it.
That's what everyone says.
It's beautiful. It's so worth doing.
That's really fun.
Yeah, loved it. So my favourite part of that day, I'd say taking in all the details from Toy Story Land. My favourite ride is definitely Slinky Dog Dash. And my least favourite part of that day was the heat. I think that's my answer for every single day because it's just a killer.
It is, and it really can, like, mess up your day.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking.
It's real. Like, it's no joke.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
All right, so that's end of day 2.
Let's go into day 3.
Day 3. All right, so day 3 was Magic Kingdom. We were getting tired by this point. Because we'd had our days in Disneyland. Then I went to a bachelorette weekend in California. Then we flew into Walt Disney World. So we had been going by this point for about a week.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've travelled like this and you've been in the Disney parks, you know that your immune system takes a bit of a hit. You're around lots and lots of people. You're running on pretty much no sleep. You're eating food that you don't usually eat. So we were quite sick by this point. We were just run down. So we were fortunate, as I said before, to do a lot of the rides in Disneyland. So we were able with Magic Kingdom to take it a little bit slower.
Mm-hmm.
We made an agreement that if we'd already done the ride in Disneyland, we weren't doing it again in Walt Disney World. And I do regret that. I wish we did some of the same, because they're not entirely the same.
Right.
I came to realise when we had some time up our sleeve and we did some of the same ones, I was like, this is a little bit different and I wish that I did it. But that's the thing with Disney trips, is that you don't get to do everything and you've got to make decisions, and that's just a decision that we made at the time. But anyway, one snack I was really excited for all those who've been to Magic Kingdom is the cinnamon roll from Gaston's Tavern. We ordered the extra side of the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. It makes such a difference to the cinnamon roll. We also had the LeFou. Is it the LeFou's Brew?
LeFou's Brew.
LeFou's Brew. Thank you. The LeFou's Brew. Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really nice. We did have to wait a while for a seat in Gaston's Tavern. It's pretty small and it's very popular.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, wait for a seat and sit down. It's really, really nice in there. We also felt it would be quite rude to go all the way to Magic Kingdom and not say a massive thank you to the residents. So we got our photos with Mickey and Minnie. We did that as a lightning lane. It was a 10-minute wait. Their 50th outfits were so cute.
They're so cute.
I was actually a little bit emotional going into that. I can't believe I'm a 32-year-old woman saying that I was getting emotional meeting the residents of Magical Kingdom. But, yeah, going in there, getting the photo, I was all nervous and flustered. I'm not sure if anyone else has said that they felt that way. It's just this, kind of pressure moment. You want the photo to be good.
Well, and it's kind of funny, too, you are in line and you're just wow, but then when you, they, let you in the room and you, see Mickey, it's like a celebrity.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. I was it was just really cute. I was wearing some ears that were Beauty and the Beast themed ears, and Mickey was pointing to them and was going and doing a love heart with his hands, and I was somewhat emotional and a bit overwhelmed. I just didn't really know what to do, but we figure it's their house. It would be rude to go to someone's house and not say hello.
Absolutely.
So we went and said hello to Mickey and Minnie.
That's so fun. I always stop by and say hi.
You've got to.
Yep.
You got to. They've been hospitable enough to let us into their house. You've got to say hi.
That's right.
We then had a lunch reservation at Skipper Canteen. It was good. We eat a lot of kind of Asian-centric foods back in Australia. So the food was really quite comforting for us.
Mm-hmm.
It was also nice to eat something that had a slightly different flavour profile than some of the other restaurants. So if you're in Magic Kingdom and you've had a kind of enough of eating a lot of theme park food, I do recommend going there and just getting something a little bit different. It is a bit spicier and just tastes a bit different to the other restaurants, so I do recommend that. We had the Skipper Dan noodles and the fried rice. We also had the cheese bread with the hummus and chimichurri dip, and it was one of our favourite things we ate on the whole trip.
That sounds so good.
It was so good, and our server was awesome. He was really, really good. So I'd highly recommend going there. We then had our paid lightning lane for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I didn't really understand what the fuss was about with that ride until I got on it. I was like, yeah, I get it.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's got a little bit more thrill compared to Big Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
And the theming is a little bit more Disney. So I totally get it. It's cute. It's really cute.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. We then did what we probably shouldn't have done, and we left the park early. We got to 2:00. We were over it. We were hot. We were sweaty. We were sick of everyone, so we left. We got the boat back to the Poly. We both left the park and hopped into bed instantly and fell asleep instantly. That's when you know you're tired.
Yes.
When you go to bed at 2:00 and you fall asleep immediately.
Yeah.
We ended up waking up and we went back to the park at 7 p.m. And we did the Haunted Mansion. It instantly jumped into my top 5. And I understand why people really enjoy this attraction. I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
We then did the Mad Tea Party. That was a 10-minute wait. What else did we do? We did Space Ranger Spin. We both liked that ride as well. And then we watched the fireworks over Main Street, which was lovely. So I love these fireworks. However, the fireworks show now, you might know the name of this, but when I went in 2018 in Disneyland, I preferred the 2018 Disneyland fireworks. I just can't remember what show that was.
Yeah, I don't know what show that was.
But the fireworks were still amazing. It's still amazing. The projections are incredible. But I was still thinking, I think I preferred the Disneyland ones from 2018. But how fortunate, and I think this is something that a lot of Disney people should take for granted, is if you're in a position to say that you preferred the fireworks for the 2018 show, you are very fortunate. And I think that's something that Rory and I had to check in with ourselves regularly. When things didn't go right, or things were a problem, or we felt over it or stressed or whatever, we said, think about all the people who would want to be in our position right now and put a smile on your face and be happy about it.
Yes, that's really good advice.
Yeah. So my favourite part of that day, seeing Cinderella Castle for the first time, it really is spectacular. I will say, as I said earlier, Magic Kingdom Disneyland is, in my humble opinion, superior to Magic Kingdom Disney World, but the Cinderella Castle really is amazing. It really is.
Yeah. Well, so I did, the last time I went, a backstage tour, and they said
I'm so jealous.
Oh, it was amazing. But they said they built it up on a hill so it even appears bigger than it actually is. So as you're walking up Main Street, it's a hill. It's called,
Disney do it a lot. It's called like forced perspective or something where, it's just so fascinating. It's just
it is
amazing.
Fascinating.
Yeah. That's when you know you're a real Disney dork, when you're into things like forced perspective.
Absolutely.
My favourite ride, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It is awesome. It is a very, very good ride.
It's so fun.
And my least favourite part, this is a slightly controversial opinion, and it might apply for the whole Disney trip, but people who put their iPhones and their iPads in the air and, hold it right above their faces to film the fireworks. I think it really upset me. I got a little bit angry because it obstructs everyone's view behind you.
Yes.
It is completely different putting a child on your shoulders. That child deserves that magical moment. They've stood in the Florida humidity for 14 hours. Let them enjoy the fireworks. But your iPhone or your phone, please don't be that person who holds it up in the air and ruins the view for everyone else.
Yep. Because you can hold it, if you want to film it, you can hold it lower and still get the same thing.
That's exactly right. And I feel like we also need to appreciate the fact that some things are best enjoyed without holding your mobile phone. Live in the moment. Don't be so focused on capturing it for your social media. Enjoy it and bask in that moment. Because if you're more focused about filming it, I guarantee you won't enjoy it as much as if you just enjoyed the moment for what it was.
For sure.
Yeah. And Rory had to check me out on that so many times. I'd be so concerned about, getting the perfect photo and all of this stuff. And he was like, mate, you're more concerned about the photos that you're taking rather than having a good time. And it's like, it's so true. It is so, so true.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't come across like rude or contentious. I just think it's a good lesson in learning to appreciate the moment that you're in.
Yeah, I don't think it's rude at all. I think it's kind of the reality nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so that's day 3. Day 4. Animal Kingdom, Disney Springs, and Cirque du Soleil.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It was a big day. We were really tired at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this right off the bat. We were in Epcot on the monorail, and we were talking to a beautiful family there, and they were saying to us that they weren't taking their kids to DAC or Disney's Animal Kingdom because it's just a zoo. And I really had to hold my tongue. Because for those people who have been to Animal Kingdom and taken the time to look at the details, I might say it's my second favourite park, and it was Rory's, my fiance's, favourite park by an absolute country mile.
It's not a zoo at all.
It's not. It is absolutely not a zoo. The attention to detail in that theme park is off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
It is so Disney without it being sprayed with Mickey and Minnie Mouse everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend it. So anyway, we started the morning with some Joffreys. We thought we'd shake things up and step away from Starbucks and we get some Joffreys. I had a shaky Jamaican because that's what the internet was telling me to have. I'd had so much vanilla sweet cream cold brews from Starbucks that going to a shaky Jamaican, it was like, whoa, this is a lot. I probably would have got it with some creamer or something the next time.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who like a sweeter coffee, I'd recommend putting something sweet in it. But walking into Animal Kingdom and seeing the Tree of Life for the first time is like core memory unlocked for both Rory and I. We were just so excited to see that tree from different angles. I don't understand why the Tree of Life doesn't, as an icon, doesn't get the recognition that the other ones do.
Yeah, I don't either. That park in general doesn't really get the recognition the other ones do.
It's just, I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, we didn't really go to Animal Kingdom for the rides. And I think that's why a lot of people don't go, is like, oh, there's not that many rides, we won't bother. But we really went for the details.
Mm-hmm.
Kilimanjaro safaris, though, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. We saw some amazing animals. I would recommend doing that really early.
Mm-hmm.
The animals are because of the weather, are far more active in the mornings than they are in the afternoons. So going in the morning was amazing. We had a lightning lane booked for that at 9:10, so it wasn't too hot yet. And most of the animals were visible from the car.
That's awesome.
So
yeah,
do that in the morning. It was really good. It was Disney Plus Day on this day as well. We got to the park at 8:20. We were meant to get there earlier, except I slept in and Rory was absolutely furious at me. But you know when you're so tired and you just need to sleep?
yes.
We planned to get there for a rope drop for Animal Kingdom and we just didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it's just too early. We then spent lots of time just walking around and soaking in all the details. And then we went to Pandora and our jaws were on the floor. As I've said, I've watched so much content, but you can't really appreciate it until you're there in person and you see all of the perspective of the place. Like, it really was unreal.
It's stunning.
It's just stunning, isn't it? It's like even just the attention to detail with the different foliage and the different plants that are in there. Like, it just blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Flight of Passage, amazing. It's amazing. I don't understand people on the internet who don't understand the hype. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, that ride's amazing.
That feeling of, because when you're on it's a Banshee, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
You're on the Banshee, and it's got like almost like an airbag.
Yeah, you can feel it breathing.
Feel it breathing. Oh, if I wasn't crying already, I was definitely crying by that point.
Yeah, that ride is so fun.
It's just incredible. We both agreed getting like flying that banshee, and seeing the Tree of Life were two core memories for us of that trip. Adored it. We then did Navi River Journey. I'm probably echoing opinions of lots of others, but please only do this with the lightning lane.
Yes.
Please do not line up in this line for very long. It's beautiful, but it's really short. And if you are lining up in there for ages, you will be very disappointed purely because it's a short attraction.
Yeah. And that line is always so long, the regular line. Like so
I just
long.
can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's so long, isn't it?
It's insane. I would never wait for that ride more than probably 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. It's just not worth it. Considering how much there is to see and do in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Waiting much longer for that ride is just not worth it. However, we were fortunate enough that all of the animatronics, especially the main one, was working while we were in there. So that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Pandora, we went to Satuli Canteen and I had the ever-popular cheeseburger pods. Loved it. I am in the process of perfecting my own recipe.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I can continue to enjoy that at home. It's really nice. After walking around kind of aimlessly for a while, and I think that's what's so good about Animal Kingdom is that you can just do that. You can just take in all of the details. We saw Festival of the Lion King. Yep. Amazing. I've been fortunate enough to see Lion King on Broadway a couple of times, and that's amazing. But this is equally spectacular. Of course, it's on a smaller scale and it's not as long as the Broadway show, but the fact that they have cast members performing in that show that are from, like, I'm trying to word this in a way that makes sense, but they've brought in people that are from Africa and from all these places in the world, and I feel like the cultural representation in that show is really important.
Yeah.
I just love it. It was really unfortunate though. When we were waiting for it, we got the unfortunate news that the Queen of England had passed away.
Oh no!
And it was really sad. It was really, really sad. But Rory and I kind of sat there and watched it in her honour, and yeah, that was it was kind of bittersweet for that moment in time for us. But I was in tears throughout the whole of the Festival of the Lion King. I just think those circus performers are amazing. I think there's some that are portraying birds, I think. The birds. Amazing. Make sure you see it. It's definitely worth seeing.
It's a great show.
It really is. And then once we walked out of the Lion King show, it was raining. It's actually the first time we got caught in a Florida storm. And the fact that it was 2:00 in Florida and pouring rain, I don't know why we were surprised. It was bucketing down. So we got a lift and we headed over to Disney Springs. The first thing that I made Rory and I do is get in the line for Gideon's Bakehouse. I said, I haven't come all the way to Florida not to go to Gideon's Bakehouse. We got the classic cookie and the Oreo cookie, sorry. They were incredible. They are very sweet and they are very, very, very big. We did not realise how big they were. It took us a couple of days to finish them, to the point that we went to New York after we were in Walt Disney World, and I was still eating those cookies in New York a couple of days later.
That's so funny, but it's so true. They're huge.
They're huge, and because they're so sweet, you can't really sit there and eat the whole thing at once.
Right.
I would have loved to have had the cake, but those bits of cake were also so big, and then we were going to Cirque du Soleil afterwards, so I wasn't going to carry a huge piece of cake to the theatre. Yeah, but it looked really good. For dinner, we went to the Boathouse. Have you been there before?
I have not.
I really liked it. Rory and I are quite into seafood, so we wanted to do something that wasn't burgers and chicken nuggets, so we thought we'd go to the Boathouse. We had the hoisin chili calamari and the lobster roll, and it was awesome. The server was magnificent. The service was really good. The food was delicious. It was really, really nice. And they also gave us a key lime pie cheesecake with congratulations written on it because we were there for our honeymoon. And yeah, the service was awesome. So it is on the slightly pricier side. It's not cheap. But if you do want something that's a little bit more upmarket compared to, Homecoming or those kind of restaurants, and you've got a little bit of extra cash to splash, I would recommend that restaurant.
Yeah, I've only
Really
ever
liked
heard
it.
great things about it.
I got that blue cocktail, the one that's got the duck in it, and it was really cute. The duck we've got a bookshelf in our lounge room, and the duck sits on our little bookshelf as a little memory of the cocktail. But yeah, it was really nice.
That's cute.
Then we went to the Cirque du Soleil play, Drawn to Life.
How was that?
It was really good. It's if you're going to it expecting Disney-esque entertainment, you will be a little bit disappointed, I think. Because I think people forget that Cirque du Soleil, it's a circus company, so it's definitely more circus entertainment than Disney entertainment, if that makes sense.
Yep, it makes total sense.
I think it's better for an older audience. I think younger kids might be a little bit confused, especially if they've been in the Disney bubble for a couple of days and are used to Disney being like completely splashed in their face. Big Mickeys, big Minnies, things on big scale. That show is definitely more emotional than you originally realise, and I think it's kind of more intended for an older audience. It's beautiful. It is very poetic. It is beautiful. It is very thoughtful. But don't go to that expecting that it's going to be like something like Festival of the Lion King or another show like that. Yeah.
That's good advice. Yeah, I actually would love to see it. Maybe it'll still be there next time I go, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd recommend giving it a go, but maybe not with young kids.
Yeah.
I think they might just be a bit confused because it's Disney but not Disney, if that makes sense.
For sure.
So with that day, my favourite part was Flight of Passage, and my favourite ride was also Flight of Passage. It's just beautiful.
It's an
experience. I'm a Soarin' fan.
Yeah.
It's like Soarin' on steroids.
Yes. It really
so
is.
It just hit me in the heartstrings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my least favourite part was the rain. Those Florida thunderstorms, they are no joke.
They're intense.
They are really intense. The next day for us was our second Magic Kingdom day. We were actually there for Mickey and Minnie's Not So Scary Halloween party.
So fun.
To say I was excited about this, I was so excited. So excited. Halloween, as I've said a couple of times now, really isn't a thing for us back home. So to have that moment to really kind of get into it and be really involved in it was just awesome. But before we did that, we had a pool day. And for anyone who spent 4 days back-to-back in a Disney resort, in a Disney park, can really appreciate how much needed a pool day is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If I could do my time again, I would suggest that people alternate, that they have park day, rest day, park day, rest day. It's for a couple of reasons, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But yeah, at the pool day, it was so necessary. We spent our morning hanging by the pool and doing nothing else.
That sounds amazing.
It was perfect. We then had to spend some time getting ready for the Halloween party. Coming all the way from Australia, I couldn't bring a ridiculously large costume, so I had to make do. Both Rory and I were in matching T-shirts. Mine had Maleficent on it, and Rory's had Hades on it. And I'm sure there'll be a picture. I'll send to you and you can see it. But I ended up doing face paint and painted my face like Maleficent's with the purple and green face paint. I had so many compliments as I walked around the park. It was just awesome seeing everyone's costumes, like the level of effort that people go into, and I just think it's so nice that adults get that chance to dress up. and just really get involved.
It's
So yeah,
fun.
we loved it.
Yeah.
We didn't. It's so interesting. Like, we didn't really do a lot at the Halloween party.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as if we were back to back with rides. We did a couple. I think we did Astro Orbiters. We did Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and that's when I realised, probably should have done some of the rides that were the same as Disneyland, because they're not the same. They've got the same name, but they are slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
I actually preferred Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Walt Disney World than I did at Disneyland.
Interesting.
But Rory said to me, it might be because you've ridden the one at Disneyland 700 times. And this one is new. So you know, something's new and it's fresh, it feels good, you know?
Yeah.
And we also did Peter Pan's Flight. Don't understand the hype. I know everyone loves it. I'm just... I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I will do that ride if I have a lightning lane and there's not a long line, but I don't get the hype either. I mean, it's cute, but I don't know.
I don't know. It's just, I think it's very big and much loved for the nostalgia reason. So if you've been going to the parks for a really long time and you've been going on Peter Pan's Flight since you're a kid, I think it's a really nice attraction. I can imagine it would be. But for someone like Rory and I, who were going on it for the first time and we had no emotional sentiment towards it, we're both a bit like, oh, really?
Yeah.
But the part where you're flying over and the London city is underneath, and I think that's really, really sweet. But the rest of it, we were both a bit like, why is the line for this so long?
Always. Like, it's so long.
Always.
Yes.
Every time we walked past it, we just couldn't believe the sheer amount of people that were waiting to get on it.
Yes. It's insane.
Don't really understand. But back to the Halloween parade. The trick-or-treating was really cute. We got to meet Jack Sparrow, which was nice. I met with Minnie, Donald, and Daisy. My moment with Minnie was really, really cute. She was in her Halloween dress, which is just the cutest thing ever. And we were doing like a little hug and a little meet and greet, and I noticed that her skirt had kind of bended a little bit. It was folded up. And I said to her, oh, Minnie, like, you can't come to your own Halloween party not dressed properly. So I, like, fixed her skirt, and then we did, like, a little twirl, and the photos are really, really sweet.
That's cute.
So, so cute. We then watched the fireworks show, the Villain Spectacular, and my all-time favourite parade, the Boo to You parade. I could listen to that Boo to You song on repeat forever.
Me too.
It is so catchy, and it hits me in the heartstrings so quickly. Like, it's just beautiful. Rory was quite sick at this point, just run down, and I'm singing and dancing to this Boo to You song, and Rory's looking at me like he would rather be anywhere on this planet than with me singing that song. I just loved it. I think it's one of the best parades I've ever seen.
Yes, it's fantastic. I love that parade.
And the Headless Horseman that comes out, and it's just, I just think it's so magical and it's so well done, and I really do recommend that people see that while they're at the party. And the fireworks and projection show is ridiculous. It is so good.
Yeah.
My favourite part of the projections, and because Rory's really into old school animation, you know, the skeleton dance?
Yes.
There's a big section that is the skeleton dance, and it made me so happy to see him see that on the castle. It was just really cool.
That's so fun.
Yeah. And we didn't even meet or eat many of the snacks at all. We were so excited for all the snacks, but the time just disappeared. We just, all of a sudden, it was the end of the party. We just couldn't believe it.
It goes by really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really quick. So, yeah, we really liked it. I loved seeing everyone dressing up. I loved the Boo to You parade. I loved the trick-or-treating. The Cabador dance were really good.
Uh-huh.
I loved it. So I would recommend going to that. I think it's good because it's after hours. You don't have to deal with the Florida sun as much as you do during the day.
Yeah, and they sell a limited amount. I mean, I don't know. Was y'all's party really crowded?
Yeah, it was busy.
So it's
really
supposed to be less people than a park day, but sometimes it might not be, but yeah.
It was busy.
Yeah.
It was really busy. But I was talking to some park guests at the party, and they were at Magic Kingdom during the day, and they said it was really quiet. And I did notice that is that on the days where there was a ticketed event in the afternoon, the park is quite quiet during the day. And it makes sense because there's no evening show for that guest. So I think that might be a good tip. If you don't really care too much about the night show or the fireworks, going to a theme park during the day that has a ticketed event on in the evening is a good way to have a quieter park day, I think.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah, but why would you go all the way to Magic Kingdom and not see the fireworks? So,
yeah, I mean, maybe if you have multiple days at Magic Kingdom, you can choose this as one of your days.
That would make sense, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. So by that point, we were tired. We were really, really tired. I'd say that was probably my least favorite part by this point. That fatigue at the end of day 5 of a Walt Disney World vacation. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I feel like it's not something that's really spoken about that much because it's all about having the most magical time and all of this stuff, but we don't ever talk about like the fatigue and this emotional need that everyone has to have the best trip ever. You know, it's
absolutely
sometimes it's just not like that.
No, and that's another reason why I started the podcast is so people could hear what it really is like. Because one thing I also, before we went, I watched all the videos and all that stuff, but the people who do those videos, they live there. So they don't have that fatigue because they just go home when they're tired.
That's right. And they go and film for 2 or 3 hours a day and then come back. And everything's amazing when you can do it in short bursts.
Yes.
And you don't feel this pressure that this is our once in a lifetime Walt Disney World trip.
Yes.
We've got to do this and do this and do this and do this. And that was something that Rory and I had to learn, is that it's not, a lot of the time it's not what it's made out to be on YouTube.
Very much.
And I don't think that's what's spoken about enough. It's magical and it's amazing, but sometimes it's terrible. The heat. Some people are really rude when you've lined up for a line and then it breaks down.
Yes, that's the worst.
Dealing with those things. It's the kids having meltdowns, which are totally understandable. These poor kids out in the heat all day. Like, if it was socially acceptable for me to throw a fit and kick and scream in Disney, I would have done it too. Like,
yeah, for sure.
So we slept very well at the end of every night.
That's good. See, that's the good thing.
That's it. And then we had our last day in the parks, which was our Epcot day. We started this day at 11:30. So if that doesn't tell you that we were tired, I'm not sure what else does.
Yeah.
We were wrecked. We were really fulfilled, but really, really wrecked. We really went back just to eat some more food at the Food and Wine Festival. We didn't do any attractions. We didn't go on a single ride. We just walked around and ate. So we started off at the Australia booth, which is ironic, and we had the lamb chop and the beer. That lamb chop is delicious. I will say, for non-Australians listening, that the potato crisps that they put on top of the lamb chop is not authentic at all, and I have never seen that being done, but it will be a thing. I'm going to make it a thing here because it is delicious. It is the perfect texture to put on a lamb chop. So whoever came up with that, props to you. It's very, very good.
That's funny, though, that it's not authentic.
Not authentic at all. The sauce that's on it is quite authentic, but the potato chip crispy things on the top, not a thing.
That's great. I love it.
The cast member who was serving us was like, because we've got quite thick Australian accents, And we're asking, we ordered the lamb chop here. And this cast member's looking at us like, where is your accent from? And Rory goes, oh, I'm Australian. And she goes, like, really? Or are you just, like, putting the accent on? It's like, no, we're real Australians. And she couldn't believe it. She said that we were the first Aussies that she'd served this whole time.
Oh, my
at Food and Wine
gosh.
Festival.
That's awesome. That's so cool, though.
So funny. And, yes, the beer is definitely authentic, but that came straight out of the can, so you can't really fake that. But, yeah, that was good. We then went to China and had the pan-fried dumplings and the Mongolian beef bao bun. The Mongolian beef bao bun was quite good, and the pan-fried dumplings were good too. They were good, but when you cook these kind of foods en masse for thousands of people every day, sometimes the texture's not quite right. Sometimes they're a little bit overcooked, but you're in a theme park, so you've got to. It just comes with the location, I guess. We went to the Tangerine Cafe and had the stone-baked Moroccan bread with dips. That was super good as well. Japan, the teriyaki chicken bun, the yuzu lemon drop, and the Orange Blossom Brewing Co. Pilsner. The Orange Blossom Brewing Co. Pilsner is delicious. The yuzu lemon drop was really nice. The teriyaki chicken bun was a bit of a miss for us. We didn't like it as much as we thought we would.
Mm-hmm.
We then went to Refreshment Port and had the traditional poutine. Delicious. Poutine isn't a thing here. Because of the cheese curds, you can't actually, in Australia, that you can't eat that type of cheese. We're not allowed to.
Ah.
I think it's the way that the cheese is, because it's not pasteurised, I think. Either way, very happy we got to eat it over there because it's delicious. I totally get what all the fuss is about. It is yum.
It is so good.
It was so, so good. And then classic Florida 2 p.m. It bucketed down. It rained so much. I've never seen anything like it. It wasn't even to the point where you could put like a raincoat and have an umbrella. It was just uncomfortable to be in.
Yeah.
It was coming in from all angles. You couldn't push past it. It was just not pleasant.
That's so unfortunate. But at least it was just the very end of your trip that y'all had to deal with the rain.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like we were pretty fortunate in that we didn't really have to deal with it much up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like we were pretty lucky. So it was so frustrating though, because for those of you who've been to Food and Wine, we did the Emile's fromage frontage.
Mm-hmm.
I had one stamp left to go. Just one. And Rory said, no, it's raining, we're leaving. And I said, no, I just want one more thing. So I left the Food and Wine Festival one stamp short of getting that cheesecake that I really wanted.
Oh, man.
So frustrating, but you win some and you lose some.
Yeah.
Things just don't work out sometimes, you know?
Yep.
But we did go back to the Poly for our last fancy dinner, which was Ohana. I'm going to be probably one of your more controversial guests on this podcast.
I love that.
Because I didn't really understand what the fuss is about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Some of the food was really, 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 like, it was really nice. Everyone seems to rave about the Ohana noodles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe I was just really tired by this point, but I was a bit like, a little bit nonchalant about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was also really expensive. I'm just going to throw that out in the open. It is really expensive. By the time you get cocktails and you do all of that stuff, it is a really expensive meal. I think it was a bit unfortunate. I think they were quite short-staffed that night, which of course doesn't help the experience, and that is no fault of their own. Like the cast members were doing a spectacular job with the staff members that they had, but I think for the cost, I would have preferred to have had dinner, like Topolino's Terrace or something like that.
Yeah, it is very expensive. And I think So people love it, but people also kind of comment the same thing, like, oh, it was okay. And I think it's because of the price. Like if it was less expensive, it would taste better.
Agreed.
Because you'd be like, oh, it's worth it.
That's exactly right. I will admit the banana pudding. Have you had that?
Yes,
banana
it was
pudding?
amazing.
That is amazing. I said to Rory I could have eaten just that banana pudding and been really happy. Of course, not for the sheer cost of that dining experience, but the banana pudding was very, very, very good. I just, and I think this is a lesson learnt for a lot of Disney fans like me, is that when you spent a lot of time researching a trip, sometimes things are made out to be spectacular. And you get there and you realise, actually, this isn't as good as you think it is. And I don't think I'd do it again.
Yeah.
What I would do is I'd go to Tambu Lounge next door, and for a fraction of the price, I'd get a couple of the things that were good. Is it the dumplings?
Mm-hmm.
I get the dumplings and the banana pudding.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else is a bit hit or miss for me.
Yeah, I actually think that's really good advice. You can go, I don't even think people realize you can go get the exact same food. It's cooked in the same kitchen. It's the exact same food.
Like, you're almost in the restaurant. It is next door.
Yeah.
And it's one of the advantages of Ohana, if you time it right, is you can watch the fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
We had a table right next to the window. But what you don't see when you watch it on YouTube is that the windows are so dirty because they are above the playground, the water playground, that you actually get you don't see a lot of it because of how dirty the window is. And I know I sound like one of those Disney adults that is whinging and complaining, and for the most part I think I'm pretty good. It's just that people go to Ohana to sit and watch the fireworks for dinner. That is why people go. And the view in some spots of the restaurant, I don't think, is as good as what people expect it to be. So if you are going to go to Ohana for dinner, manage your expectations is the advice that I have for you. Or go to Tambu Lounge and enjoy the food for a fraction of the price with the same music from the fireworks, and stand up and watch the fireworks at the windows in the Tambu Lounge, because you're likely to get a better view of them.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice. I had the exact same experience when I was so excited to see the fireworks and the window was so dirty. All I could see were the spots on the window.
I'm so glad that someone else has said this, because I feel like I'm being a bit nitpicky, but that whole restaurant is based on the views of the fireworks. So if you can't see the fireworks because the windows are dirty, and that is no one's fault.
Right.
I'm not blaming anyone.
Right.
It's just manage your expectations.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
Like, I was really surprised. I was like, oh, the window is really dirty. And we were right at the window, but it was so dirty.
Yeah, it's got all the splash marks on it. Most of what you actually see is the reflection of yourself looking at the window.
That's what you see. So what I would do is make an earlier dinner reservation if you want to eat there, and then I'd go down to the beach and watch the fireworks.
Yep, that's exactly what I would do too. Yep. If Ohana is a must eat, I would do exactly that too, or even go for lunch to get out of the heat during the day. But I just think going at dinner with the way the lights are in Ohana, with the reflections on the windows and the dirty windows, you don't really get that view of Magic Kingdom that you think you're going to get.
Yes, that's very true. Very true.
I can't believe I'm kind of ending that on that kind of sour note. That isn't really what I expected, but we had a breakfast reservation the next day for Topolino's Terrace on our last morning, and we ended up cancelling it because if you are not a big eater, this is another piece of advice. If you're not a big eater, it is very expensive to eat in Walt Disney World. It is very expensive, and especially for Australians, without making it all about me, we actually don't tip back here. Tipping isn't a thing for us. And our goods and services tax is included in the price of our food. So when we were eating out at a restaurant, we'd see the price plus tax plus gratuity, and it would be a real shock for us. And I can understand for you guys it's very normal and it's a part of your society, so it's just standard. But for us, it's like, whoa, this was expensive, and now it's even
more expensive. Yeah.
And when you don't have a huge appetite, it makes it sometimes quite difficult to justify those advanced dining reservations. I ended up cancelling a couple of them because I just was the price of the meals makes it hard to what's what I'm looking for. Like, makes it hard
justify it.
Thank you. That's exactly right. Yeah, makes it, especially, like, it was just Rory and I, 2 adults. People going with, you know, lots of kids and all of that stuff, I can really appreciate as to why it's really expensive and people have high expectations because of the cost.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's really true. And I always just try to recommend to people, maybe pick a couple of restaurants you really want to eat at for their reservations, because unless, like you said, unless you're like a big foodie person or you have a budget where you can spend whatever, you're going to spend a lot at those restaurants. And you can get food, you can find food other places for just as good. It's a lot less cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and what you've just said about having lots of money and foodies, that is pretty much Rory and I for this trip. It was our honeymoon. We were going all out.
Yeah.
And even us at that point, without kids, with money to spend and foodies, even we were like, let's maybe not do some of them. Like, we also had a breakfast reservation for the Whispering Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Cancelled that too because one, I didn't want to get up early. I do regret that though, because Wilderness Lodge looks amazing. If I had to pick somewhere for the next resort, I would do half Wilderness Lodge and half Riviera. That would be what we would do next. But yeah, so we cancelled Whispering Canyon, we cancelled Topolino's. I had one for Le Cellier. We cancelled that too because we would have preferred to, and I'm glad we did this, to eat and drink around Epcot.
Yeah.
So I think it's really easy to get stuck and caught up in the whole advanced dining reservation, trying to like do all of the things because that's what the social media around Disney tells you to do. And I think some really good advice is to just do what's right for you and your family. Don't feel like you've got to fall in the trap of eating at all the restaurants and doing all of the rides and all of that, because it's so expensive. And if it's coming down on your mental health, don't do it.
Yes, absolutely. That's such good advice.
So yeah, that's my Disney trip.
Yay!
It was amazing. There's a couple of other things. Like we did Photo Pass. I'd highly recommend doing that. Just because it was 2 of us.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have photos of. If you've got a third person, you can alternate. But it was just because it was just us in one of the photos. Some of them are absolutely magical. They are really, really sweet.
And it's fun to have all the ride photos.
Yeah, they're awesome. The ride photos are the best. They're every single one of them is really unflattering, but that's what makes them really good.
Exactly. Like, if you looked good, it wouldn't be fun.
That's right. That's right. If I looked like I was having fun, then I probably wasn't having fun.
Yes.
But yeah, that was really good. Genie Plus for us was awesome. I'd highly recommend getting familiar with that app before you go. There's some really good YouTube videos out there on how to use it. I think one thing you've got to be prepared for is that the Genie Plus app it's not necessarily location based. You'll find that you've got to backtrack and walk all over the park. It's not as if you could be in Tomorrowland and you can do all of Tomorrowland with Genie Plus and then go to the next land. You've really got to be prepared to put some steps in to make it work for you.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But if you can make it work, it's so worth it.
It is so worth it. It is so worth it. I know a lot of the community are really upset by it, especially the extra, the cost for individual Lightning Lane selection. But for us, and this is purely just our opinion, because this was our honeymoon, it was a do it once and do it properly type of trip. We had no hesitation in paying that cost, but I definitely can appreciate families who pay for each individual ride. It really does add up.
Yes.
And looking at the bill for our magic band at the end was a bit of a shock.
Yeah. You have to be careful with that magic band. It's a little dangerous to just tap. Oh, just tap, just tap.
It is very dangerous. But yeah, that's it.
That sounds wonderful. Okay, so let's do your least magical moment of your Walt Disney World trip.
I know this is a really generic and very boring answer for the worst part, but that Disney fatigue is the worst part. It is exhausting on a completely different level. Those of you listening who have done what we did pretty much 6 days back to back with 1 half a day rest break. If I could do my time again, I would stay for longer and have more rest days.
Mm-hmm.
And if that meant staying in a moderate resort instead of the Polynesian, I'd do it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's not necessarily the worst part, but something that I realised is that the Disney magic begins to feel really normal. You know when you've been in the park for a couple of days and you realise, oh yeah, this is nice, and it's like, hang on, this is not just nice, this is amazing. And you're very fortunate to spend a big amount of time in the park. And I think it's really important to give yourself that reality check and be like, actually, have a deep breath. Take in everything that you're seeing and really enjoy this, because this is not normal. That's the part where I was like, oh, I get annoyed about something. The heat, the weather, a guest being rude to a cast member, someone holding their phone up for the fireworks show. And Rory would, my partner, he'd see it in my face, he'd pinch the side of my arm. And he'd be like, come on, don't be a spoilsport about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that is kind of the worst part. But I think it's also important to try to pull out of the worst part and appreciate it for what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is that a bad answer?
No, I think that's a great answer because it's real. And again, people are planning these trips and they're not thinking about that part of the trip. Because especially if it's your first time, like you don't know how tired you're going to be. There's no
Just
tired like Disney tired.
We completely overcommitted ourselves with like all of the dining reservations. You think you can do it. You really do. And then you try to do it and you realize you can't. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with doing what we did and leaving Magic Kingdom at 2 p.m. because you're tired. There is nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
So what was your most magical moment?
It was the end of our Magic Kingdom day, so not the Halloween party, our Magic Kingdom day. And we had just watched the fireworks and everything was beautiful, and there was one of the photography cast members, and there's a photo of Rory and I, and it's actually very funny because it's how he kissed me when we left our wedding last week. But we're standing kind of side by side and he tilted me backwards and there's like a photo of us having like a really nice moment in front of the castle.
Aww.
And that pose and that kiss is exactly the same kiss that we shared on our wedding day. Oh no, that's really lame.
No, that's so sweet. I love it.
It's really sweet. It was just this really authentic, happy moment between us. It was really sweet, and it wasn't something I could have booked in a lightning lane or done an advanced dining reservation for. It was just this like little moment that happened, and it was really, really sweet.
That's so wonderful, and that is what these trips are all about, those moments.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Well, Lisa, is there anything else you want to say about your trips?
Sorry for repeating myself throughout that interview. Just a bit passionate about this project.
This was a fantastic interview. I think everyone is just going to love listening to your story. I think it was wonderful.
Oh, I hope so.
It was great.
I just loved it. It was a really long time coming for us. It was like this, for us it was, you know what they say, it's like it's not about the destination. It's about the journey or whatever the saying is. We booked this trip so far in advance. We created like a Disney watch list. It was divided into like Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, like these big categories. We had it on the fridge. We highlighted movies when we watched them. And we had a really horrific experience with COVID. Like, I'm not going to go on your beautiful podcast and talk about COVID, but we were locked down we were part of the longest lockdown in the world. Like, it was a horrific experience for us. And this Disney trip was this thing at the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. And we watched all these movies in prep. We bought T-shirts before we left. I spent months picking out the ears that I was going to wear. It was this like little carrot that was like supporting our mental health for a very long time. And I know that's ridiculous. As two like fully grown adults, this is what we did to get through it, but it's what we had to do. And it was about the journey for us. It wasn't even just about going to the theme parks. It was about us taking the time to watch movies together that we watched as kids. It was about, like, I work at a school, and the junior school where I work, they did a performance of Moana, which we were so excited for because, of course, staying at the Polynesian.
Oh, yeah.
And Rory and I just cried throughout this whole performance of these kids doing a Moana Junior concert. And it was just like there was just so much in the lead up to this trip. And I know that sounds ridiculous. And we sound like the biggest group of adult Disney dorks you've ever heard. But it was just about us being able to live like kids. Just put all of our worries aside and just embrace this ridiculous week of living like two children in a theme park. It was the best.
I think it's wonderful. And you're in your safe space here. We're all Disney weirdos here. We understand.
It's so weird, isn't it? It's like this community of people who really understand each other. Yeah. Like, you don't know until you've been through it.
Yes, 100%. I think that's beautiful.
We're already planning our next trip.
Yay, that's exciting.
We're thinking about going to Tokyo.
Oh my gosh, that is going to be amazing.
Yeah, so full-on Disney adults. And we just went to the Lego store the other day and bought the Disney castle for Lego because it's ridiculous. Like, who does that?
Oh, I want that. I'm not going to lie, I want it.
And it's beautiful. But thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed today's show and the end to Lisa's trip. If Lisa's Travel Tale has you wanting to plan your own Disney vacation, see the show notes for a link to how I can help you. All of my services are complimentary, and I would love to help you get a Disney vacation on the calendar in 2023. Next week, I will be back with a new guest who was at Disney during Hurricane Ian. Her tale is quite the story. So, until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams become a reality.